What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the No BS Golf Show. I'm Brad Thomas here with Chris Mills, and we have a lot to be excited about. Last week, we hit another first round leader. Chris hit another live bet. The money train is absolutely rolling. Chris, talk to me about API. How did things go for you?
API was good. If you remember last week, we gave out Corey Connors on the show.
Yes.
And we gave him a first round leader and he was there till the end. And then obviously Wyndham Clark, what he did and just finished super strong with that tap in birdie on 18 for -5. But Corey Connors was a little bit of a letdown, obviously, on Sunday. The
Yeah.
guy went bogey free. I think on that course, if you go bogey free, you should be there at the end of the day. Posted -9. So he was right there. But there was a lot of value to be found in that fourth round. When Colin went up at one point, I think he was up 3 or up 4 on Henley, on Day, on Connors, and then again you had Michael Kim and Straka kind of just lingering. But yeah, we were able to get Henley at a good price, plus 1,300 with 6 holes to go, and that 2-shot swing on the par three that changed it. I mean, I didn't think we were going to get an eagle on 16. That was kind of a gift. But I was hoping for a playoff, and we obviously didn't need to go there. So it was a good Sunday.
That's a great Sunday for you. Listen, I went on Small Show. We talked about it on here, how I was all over Russell Henley. And then I just decided to jam Rory McIlroy. So I didn't have much room to put Henley on my card. And it was probably one of the grossest wins I've ever seen by anybody because I wasn't
Yeah.
there. I also didn't watch the final round. As you know, I was on a cruise. So I was in the Bahamas. Like it was just too much stress. I didn't have YouTube TV there. I was like, I don't really care that much. I don't really have anybody in contention unless Rory goes out there and sets a course record. So it was cool to see Henley get a win. Wyndham Clark was an amazing first round leader. It was actually one of the best first round leader performances that I've seen in person because I was on a couple of the guys that were all playing in the afternoon wave. So I was like bouncing between them, watching them play, which was really sick. And then I made it home in time to watch those final 4 holes, which made it even better on my television. It's been a great first round leader run. That was definitely my good. I want to talk about the ugly Justin Thomas, dude. Like betting him top 20, betting him in any market that's has a negative sign or is not 30 to 1 or higher has been feeling like a slap in the face. The dude puts together these spectacular tee to green numbers,
Hmm.
always leaves his putter at home. But I had said it, right? Like if Justin Thomas could just go out there and be neutral, be like maybe any kind of net positive, whether that's 0.05, 0.005, as long as that -5 strokes on the putting green, he's going to be a he's going to be a great play. Dude just loses his mind. And then I think it was on Sunday, lost strokes tee to green. That was like his first round losing strokes tee to green since last season. So that was my ugly. But either way, dude, like I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for the trajectory of the show, the trajectory of how our season's going. Let's continue the momentum and let's talk about the Players Championship, another tournament in Florida, part of the Florida Swing here. A couple of changes to the players this year. They did make the course a little bit longer. Now 7,300 yards, actually 7,352 yards. They extended by about 70 yards. One thing that's really important, I want people to know this: when you're building out your models or you're looking for a type of caliber golfer, this year is going to play a little different on the greens. While putting's never been like this massive indicator of success at TPC, the Bermuda grass is dormant, right? So the POA is going to be this POA overseed is going to be the green surface this week. Another thing I like to just kind of point out here: this is a ball striker, shot makers course. It If you thought that API was going to play to the hands of all the shot makers, which it did if you look at the leaderboard. This is it on steroids, right? It's the type of success you need here. Guys who are big time gainers, tee to green, guys who, if they find the bunkers, can get out. Shot makers is what you want. There's a reason why Justin Thomas can win this tournament and not putt worth a lick, right? He's just a great shot maker. Those are the guys that I've just really attacked this week and guys who've had a ton of success. The success here is a little random, right? Because when you have 17 holes with water in play, you're gonna have some variance, right? When you have 12 acres of bunkers, 92 bunkers, you're gonna have some variance. But one thing that's gonna be for sure, and it's always this way, the course is in pristine condition. They have like 100 people go out there and mow the grass at the exact same time. So it's always in tip top shape. It drains phenomenally well. What type of golfers are you looking at this week?
Yeah, I mean, shot makers, you said it. I also think we need to take into consideration, the weather.
Yep.
If you look at, I think it's the last 20 years, 20 of 22 went early late. So I honestly, that's where I started. I started looking at who do I like early in the morning on Thursday, and then kind of just go from there. I think it's also important to mention that this is a huge field, right? This is not
Yep.
a major, but this is the players' championship. This is their championship, and it's a massive field. So, you're obviously going to throw in your guys pre-tournament, but we all know how crucial it is to grab people live when it makes sense.
Yep.
But with a field this big, 4 days long, you have to be patient. There could be a few guys that post up and do really well on Thursday that will not be there,
Yep.
come Sunday. So patience throughout your betting bag is super, super important. But for me, I'm looking at a few things. Looking at course history, right? There seems to be those guys that just always tend to be there, like years past, like the Kuchers, like the Jason Days, like the Ricky Fowlers. So looking at course history is important. Recent form, typically guys who are playing well coming into here um, have a good
Yeah.
chance. But you also have the outliers like a Siwoo Kim, who you don't know anything about, who goes out and smokes the field and wins this, the Players Championship at whatever he was, 21 years old. So you do have those flyers because the field is so big. These guys are all really good golfers, and if they put it together for 4 days, I mean, anybody can win. Also mentioned that Scotty's won two in a row. No one had ever gone back to back, and I don't know if anybody can three-peat. Just like the
No.
Kansas City Chiefs, three-peating anything is extremely difficult. So, you know me, I'll be staying away from Scotty this week.
I want to add one thing to your note. And I think this week's going to be a little bit more important. Is you talked about the wave advantage, the AM PM wave advantage. It's going to be even greater this week, I believe, because it's calm in the morning on Thursday, and then 8 to 10. I've seen 8 to 15 wind gusts, high wind gusts in the PM. But then when you go to Friday, it's the same weather for everyone the entire day,
Yeah.
which just go ahead. If in like when you, I think it's more important for betting things like first round leader, doing DFS, where that's really important. But I'm glad you said that nugget because I just was going to kind of omit it, just not intentionally. But let's bring in Kenny. This week we have a special guest, Kill Kenny on Facebook. It's at KIIL Kenny. He is the creator of Moonshot, coming off a Carl Phillips win, 70 to 1. Nice little 14K banger. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
What's going on, fellas? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for joining. Listen, we like to start this off with a couple interview questions before we get into the nitty gritty. And I think my favorite, actually, my second favorite, I'll ask my favorite question before we wrap. But my second favorite question to ask, and I'm always curious, how did you get into sports betting and content creation?
I mean, God, I come from just like a natural gambling family. Like the family game is poker. Like if we're all
Okay.
together for the holidays, we're getting a family poker game going. So it's naturally been in my blood. I mean, when I was younger, I used to sell ice cream on beaches, and me and the other ice cream sellers would literally bet who would sell more that day. So I've been gambling on anything that's possible to gamble on really my entire life. Back in 2020, I was mostly just a DFS player. I did a lot of NBA DFS, still working full time. And I was writing DFS blogs that I think like 5 people were reading, more just as like a hobby. It helped me sort of organize my thoughts a bit. And weirdly enough, when Fortnite took the world by storm, that was sort of my introduction into Twitch. I wasn't familiar with the platform, and I became obsessed. I hadn't played video games, all that regularly for
Yeah.
probably 10 years at that point. I got really into Fortnite. I got really into Twitch, and I had an idea to do like a gambling centric show on Twitch. Unfortunately, as this idea is starting to build, the actually I think it's the 5-year anniversary of the NBA shutdown. People have been retweeting the Woj tweet today. So that idea got halted a bit, but then once the NBA bubble came back, I started doing Twitch streams, called it the Moonshot, and people were like, "Where'd you come up with that?" I'm like, "Dude, I literally just I just typed Moonshot and like that was it. This
That's sick.
wasn't this epiphany." So started streaming regularly in 2020, and then 5 years later, we're still kicking.
Dude, I love that. I actually come from a gambling family as well. It's pretty much how I got into gaming and betting. I started as a card player, then moved into DFS, and then Actually, it was a company, Bet Karma. I'm not even sure if they're still around, that was like, "Hey, Brad, do you wanna do betting content as well as DFS content?" And, it's kind of just grown from there. And I love the people who have those gambling backgrounds. I think you find the establishment of knowing your limits, setting bankrolls, getting all of that EV knowledge, advantage playing. You learn all of that from cards from an early age. If you start at an early age, I mean, some people start at like 10 playing cards with their family. Like, it's really, really exciting. I want to ask another question before I let you take the floor, Chris, because we're going to transition over here. Um, you know, and this could be a two-layer question. You hit Phillips. Did you have a particular strategy when you went and selected Phillips? And does that change from tournament to tournament, or do you kind of run the same kind of model or same kind of strategy for every event?
It definitely changes tournament to tournament. For one like Puerto Rico, it's not one that I think you can really model all that well. Like you don't have historical shot link data, so you're kind of going off of just sort of the course specs. Like we can work in some things. Like the course in Puerto Rico is much longer than most PGA courses, so maybe favor bombers a little bit, but for Puerto Rico, it was more so just like take a look at the board, and like I had a list of like 5, 6 guys that I just thought are much better than the books are giving credit for, and then I narrowed it down to 2. I landed on Dumont Deschart, Adrian Chacharte Dumont, or whatever, ADDC, simple enough, and Phillips. And really, the thing with Phillips was, he has been a proven winner at every single level. Had a bit of a delayed start to his PGA career because I think it was like a stress fracture in his back.
Yep.
And then we saw him in Mexico, and we saw him at the Cognizant. And just I thought the underlying data there I thought was encouraging. And in a field that just had, for lack of better words, a bunch of losers, my thought process was simply, I think this guy is a lot better than people realize. And in a field of this lack of strength, like you're never gonna, if he plays as well as I think he could, you will never see him at 70-1 in this type of field ever again. So it was just like, if you're gonna buy stock, buy it now. And it happened to work out.
Love it. Yeah, I kind of approach the same way. I think it is a tournament by tournament, but I've said this to Brad before, and I've explained it to the listeners. There's certain fields where you can dismiss 30 to 40% of the field before they even start, right?
Absolutely.
So then you're breaking down your list, trying to find value after that. I mean, I have my own strategy. I'm going to pull these off. I have my own strategy when it comes to betting, and I like to explain it almost like diversifying my fund. So I'm always going to take guys pre-tournament, because at the end of the day, once the tournament starts, a lot of times the books will drop guys, and then they'll only go back up if they start poorly. So it's always good if you like someone and if you're giving it out to obviously have those guys pre-round. But I always have a balance, knowing that it's crucial to find the value plays throughout the tournament. So I'm curious, when you look at golf versus other sports, you may have futures for football, conference winners, Super Bowl, etc. But every week, golf is essentially a 4-day future bet. And we've talked about this last week, that it's draining. Like if you take a guy pre-tournament and it lasts 4 days and he's there till Sunday, you're drained by the end of it. And you hope that happens. The guys that you take early are there on Sunday. And then throughout the tournament, you have the opportunity to hedge on value guys, and then they're all there come Sunday. And then it's just a matter of how much do you win versus do I win or do I lose? So I'm curious, what's your take on live betting golf? How often do you do it? And I guess what's your approach?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can go about it. And I think it depends on like a lot of different factors. Like for instance, if there's a particular tournament, and let's say there's a super long shot down the board that you're overly bullish on and is not a popular name, and let's say they're going off at like 300-1. In my experience, like more often than not, you can probably just wait and see how they play their first 6-7 holes, because even if they're beating the field on their front 9 of their Thursday round, like they don't have as much brand recognition and as much name respect. Like if they were 300-1 and they start out relatively hot, you can get them at 220-1 with a better start. And at that point, it's like I'd rather grab them there. I think also it depends on who else is in the field and what time they're playing. Like for instance, if I have a guy that I just have sort of circled that I'm interested in, and he's going off in an afternoon wave, and Scotty's playing in the morning. If Scotty has a half decent round in the morning, it's going to bloat the rest of the market naturally. So for situations like that, it is worth waiting. I think the change in the strategy there would be if it's a higher odds guy but is a relatively bigger brand name. Like there were a few tournaments last year where he was in bad form, and like Justin Thomas, I think he peaked at like 70-1 for a few tournaments. The problem with him is like you can't really wait on him, because if Justin Thomas is 3 under through his first 5, like people will flock to that and his number is going to get crushed. You don't really have the ability to sort of wait and see. So I don't typically live bet all that much. Like I'm a guy that I don't like having that many outright tickets. Like I kind of like just having my 2-3 horses and sort of letting it play out. But then if I have sort of like my secondary list of guys that I thought about but didn't necessarily get to, and it's Friday afternoon and they're relatively in the mix and I think the price is fair, I may grab one more horse going into the weekend. But again, similar to how much do you model in your thought process and it's a tournament by tournament basis. But I do think the biggest factors are like who else is in the field and what is the overall sort of, I don't want to say brand value, but like brand recognition of that player, and will a hot start kill their live odds? And if the answer is no, more often than not, for your super long shots, and again, these are guys that are going off at 200-1 or higher, more often than not, you can just wait. And if they play half decent their first couple of holes, you're laying a few more points. But like at that point, I think it's worth the insurance policy.
Yeah, agree. Like it.
I like that. I think you said something that was really important too, like the brand value in here and kind of like their numbers. Two things I think a lot of more casual golf bettors forget. Like when you look at the board, it's happened so often, and this is no shot. I'm just going to do this totally at random. Like, so this is no shot at any of the players saying they can or can't win. But when you have golfers who are like in really good form, sitting at like, we'll use Straka for example, 55-1. But then you have a guy like Tommy Fleetwood who hasn't won jack crap in a freaking on tour at 18-1. You have to kind of question yourself, like Straka's one winner this season, winner last season, guys playing really good golf. Tommy hasn't won, like, are we going to go stoop down to the 18-1s? Are we going to go ahead and just take the guy who has the good number like you did with Phillips? Like he's way better than his numbers playing. That said, let's get into some outrights because I don't know who you guys are going to be on. If you're on whoever I said, Fleetwood, I think is a really good bet at 30-1, which you can still find. But I'll start it off, and I got this, and I don't do this often, so I'll just tell you the truth, right? Like, if you like the number that I'm at, 22-1 on Ludwig Oberg, 18-1 is more than fine. That's sitting out there now. I bet this on February 14th. I posted on X at Mr. Brad Thomas. I posted in Gamblers Guild Discord. So I don't know anyone says that you didn't have access to the number. This was posted everywhere. But Oberg is a guy who I probably was a little more excited when I bet it than I am now, but he has all the intangibles, right? If you take the last 36 rounds, and this number's going to be skewed a little bit because not everyone has 36 rounds in the field at this tournament, but he is the leader per average per round in strokes gained. More than Scotty Scheffler, which is a crazy sentiment for a guy who's won this tournament 2 times in a row. He's a guy who's going to hit fairways. He's going to hit greens. And he has a tremendous upside at 18-1, at 22-1. I like his upside a lot. And it's kind of like price comparison. I was on Roy last week, then found out that, he wasn't too happy with the QI model that he had for his woods. I heard that in his interview, he was just saying, he's kind of getting upset with the manufacturers changing equipment so much and they have to rep this. I think Rory's 12-1, but can't hit a fairway. Was having terrible off the tee numbers. And we just bumped down to Ludwig Oberg, who's hitting fairways. I'm not saying that I would ever compare the two in terms of golf, just skill set. Rory is actually incredible. But I thought I got a pretty good price on Ludwig at 22. Does kind of hinder my ability to go really deep on this card, but I don't mind having a 3 golfer card.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, when I was looking at first glance, the number that popped for me was Xander. I don't know the last time he was above 20-1, right? He's plus 2,500 right now.
Yeah.
And I think That has to do with him not having much form last week. If he goes out there and he performs just half decent, I expect that number to almost cut in half. But if anybody followed his round, was he -3, -4 on Sunday?
Yeah.
May have found something, shaked off some rust. I'm not going to touch it. That's probably one, that I'll wait on. He's in the afternoon, so if somebody does go out early and post a decent number, maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down. But I think I'll hold on that one. But for me, where I'm finding significant value, you mentioned him already, is Sepp Straka.
Mm.
He's not getting the respect that I think he deserves. And I think at plus 5,000, plus 4,500, depending on your book, it just seems high to me still, right? Like I feel like he's not getting it based on his form. Another top 5 last week, and he shot 76 on Thursday and finished -7 on Sunday and lost by 4. Right? Like what a comeback. One to make the cut. Great weekend. Ball striker like anyone. And his putting's been strong. So when I look at the board and I see him, I was pleasantly surprised and I grabbed that number before it drops.
Sepp Straka is always a good option. Kenny, who you rolling with as one of your outrights?
Yeah. So, and by no means am I picking on you for Sepp, because like I see it, right? Whatever site you use to do your modeling, it doesn't matter what it is. You click on his profile and it is just fluorescent green across the board, right? Like, I mean, the entire game is dialed in. My only rebuttal, and I'm only doing this because I've been making this comparison between Sepp and this guy just for the last couple of weeks, because in my brain, I see relatively equal player profiles. I see relatively equal recent form. I see more win equity, and I see triple the price. If you think Sepp Straka is getting disrespected, in what universe should Nick Taylor be 120 to 1? So I'm a big Nick Taylor guy. If you follow me on X, I had him at the Waste Management at 200 to 1 last year. So I definitely have a bit of a natural bias towards him. I don't need many excuses to go after him. But you're getting a guy right now that is quite literally in the best form of his life. Over the last 5 tournaments played, he has gained 4 or more strokes on approach, I think in 4 out of 5. His worst performance has been like 1.5 strokes gained. If you look at his results at API, they don't necessarily tell the whole story. He still was flushing his irons. He had the worst putting performance he's had in like a year and a half. So I think you can expect some natural bounce back there. And again, I think that TPC definitely sets up far better than him than the API. You can't bomb and gouge it. His biggest deficiency is he doesn't hit the ball very far, but he finds fairways. So you're getting a guy that is accurate off the tee, is hitting his irons better than anybody on planet Earth right now, and has shown to have spike weeks with the putter. I think he gained 5 strokes putting at Sawgrass last year. So I was surprised. Like I thought the same way that Sepp's odds have gotten hammered. I think he opened at like 65 in some places, and he is rightfully so gotten hammered down to 45. Like I can't find any reason why Nick Taylor isn't going off at 60 right now. And you can still get him at 120 virtually everywhere. I didn't put too much stock in the wave splits this year, although Brad did mention it. There might be a slight advantage to AM, PM. It's a little windier Thursday afternoon. You look at the historical data. I don't know how much that really matters, but I mean, the data is what it is. And Nick's going off in the morning as well. So I think like if you're going to fire one bullet this week, like I generally believe based on the odds right now today, Nick Taylor at 120 is the best number on the board.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, Nick Taylor is a community friend.
Yes,
we hit him
he
in
is.
management last year as well. We hit him already this year. Straight. You can actually throw up a picture of him and I being best friends. You can post that if you want. But yeah, no, super, super valuable. Also, too, for all of us listening, early tee time, Nick Taylor loves to go low round 1.
Yes, he does.
So a little nugget wasn't on my list, but at that value, you're probably getting him at a good number for first round 2. I like that.
And Brad, real quick, you had mentioned that you look at the board and you can wipe out half the field of just guys that, regardless of how good they are at golf, they just don't have the stones to win golf tournaments. Like it is what it is. Guys just cannot close the deal on Sundays. Like when Nick Taylor is in the hunt on a Sunday,
you don't want him chasing you.
You do not want him chasing you. And I put this out on X yesterday. Like over his last 5 events, gaining on average 4.3 strokes on approach per tourney. And he is one of 7 golfers in the entire field with 3+ wins on tour since the beginning of 2023. And all 3 of those wins were big dick events. So again, Nick Taylor's my guy.
Love it.
Love some Nick Taylor action there. Listen, I'm on Sepp Straka as well. Not going to beat a dead horse there, but I'm going to go with one who's probably not going to be on a lot of cards, and he's never a guy that you really think at a course where you need to hit fairways. But that's Wyndham Clark, right? I'm taking Wyndham Clark to win. I'm going to just go ahead and take some of that money I won on his first round leader last week and place him to win. We were on him last year, and I think I want the revenge. I need redemption. Best story of one of my favorite golf stories that I can comes to mind is Wyndham Clark has this putt to force a playoff on 18, and is it St. Patrick's Day? It might be St. Patrick's Day. We are at I live downtown Orlando. We're at a downtown bar, but we're at one that I don't really frequent often, and I have my little child and my entire family. We're watching this, misses the putt like the lip out. And I yell, "No!" And the baby starts crying. Some dude comes from behind the bar and just berates me like, "You have your kid at a bar." It's like a family bar, by the way. "You have your kid at the bar, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, none of this would have mattered, man, if Wyndham Clark would have made that putt and we could have hedged versus him and Scotty. And I want redemption. But anyways, on a more golf specific base, Wyndham Clark, when he played this event last year, gained strokes off the tee in 3 out of 4 rounds. API, it looked like he was going to do something similar after round 1, was a gainer off the tee, and then it kind of fell apart, right? I think Wyndham Clark has the ability to, when it's going well with his driver, be competitive in any event. We started to see this. We saw it last year, right before the Florida Swing. He starts to heat up. He had a win in the shortened tournament last year before the Florida Swing, then went out and put together a really good Florida Swing. Doing the same thing where he had some pop rounds early, had that really great pop round last week. I think Wyndham Clark at 60 to 1. I did miss the number at 70. I think it was posted at 70. I don't ever bet at the Open. And the kind of guy who needs way more data, needs way more time than just to fire numbers at the Open. So I was okay with the 60 to 1. I think it was 66 to 1 on Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, I don't mind Windy. Honestly, I hope he does well. And I don't know how much of this was just the broadcast and them just running their mouths, but they wouldn't stop talking about how he had no control of his swing, his driver's out of the way, he's lost his putter, and he obviously did not play well to finish the tournament. So that would be my only reservations on him. But maybe the number maybe would be lower had he played well and finished strong, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of a catch-22. For me, no win equity. He won the John Deere way back in the day, completely lost his game, regained his card. But let me just rip off some recent finishes for him. T2, these are his last 5 tournaments. And then you guys can actually guess who it is.
I already know. I know who it is.
T2, T13th, T13th, T6, T4.
Michael Kim.
And this guy is plus 7,500.
Michael Kim.
Michael Kim, a ball striker like we've never seen. I mean, this guy can play golf again. And at plus 7,500, I mean, at a ball striker's course with an early tee time on Thursday, I don't know. You guys have been doing this as long as me. What am I missing on this guy?
I don't think you're missing anything. I just think there was such a long way back, right? Yeah. For the odds perspective to catch up. I'm on him in the placement market. And for Michael Kim, this was a guy who had fallen out of the top, 200 in the world golf rankings. So when golf book operators were pricing him out, like this was a guy who we were talking about, like Pavone being the worst odds in the field at 250 or 300 to 1. So now it's just taking a long time for the odds to kind of catch up to him. I think it's a really solid bet. I don't know if I'm going to get quite there to the window, but I mean, if he wins, I will win his top 20, win his top 30 or top 40 and be happy for you and probably a little jealous. But the dude is an incredible ball striker. I actually wrote about him on Golf Channel this week. There's nothing about his stat profile that you can poke holes at over this 5 run. He is positive in every single area. And just listen to some of these tee to green numbers. We talk about tee to green being important for this tournament. His tee to green numbers, and I'm going to add it to this as well. 8.5, 7.3, 6.2, 3.1, 11.3. But what makes it more impressive, he was a gainer on the greens in all 5 of those events as well. I think I can't say anything wrong about your Michael Kim selection.
I'm with you 100%. It's funny. I kind of posed the question in my Discord earlier this morning. Like, I've already got 3 outrights for this event, and I never like betting more than 3. And my question was like, how do we not add this guy? Right? It's the fact that he has done it in every aspect of this game. He is gaining in really just across the bag. He's done it 5 tournaments in a row. Like, it's out of this world. And when you're doing it in that fashion, I think it leads you to believe that it's sustainable, right? Like, it's not like he is just lights out with the putter and is putting his way into these top 10s. I mean, he is just flushing it across the board. And he's like the feel good story of the PGA Tour right now. I mean, he even in his he's very active on Twitter, and he put out that right now he's trying to play his way into the Masters. I think you got to be top 50 world golf ranking. He's sitting at 39, so he keeps playing good. He's going to make the Masters. Dare I say, he might be on the Ryder Cup team if he keeps this up.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on Michael Kim. I haven't clicked him yet, but I have no reason not to. I think it's a great look, and for a tournament that you guys have mentioned, it's sort of high variance. There's ways to tinker with models, but at the end of the day, it's just who's in good form and sort of who has the juice right now. I mean, Michael Kim's got the juice.
Yeah, and he's higher rated in the world than John Rahm now.
Yeah, he is. I did see that. You know what's funny? We talked about this offline. Like, I want to bet on Aaron Rye, and he has a really good stat profile coming in here, good course fit. They have similar prices. They're also 2 guys who have like similar stat profiles, and Michael Kim probably has the advantage over these last 4 events. So I can't poke any holes at that selection. I don't have another outright. If you guys want to give one more, that's totally fine. If not, we can move over to the placement market.
Yeah, I got a second one I can give, and then I have a third that I can rip through in warp speed.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
So my second click. So I thought I was being cute grabbing this a couple weeks ago. The number I got still better than what you can get, but I think after he bombed out at Arnold Palmer, it drifted back. So I think he's sitting at 75 now. I got him at 80. This is a guy that historically I never really liked to bet on because he was just a pretty good golfer, but just never won. And coming into this year, I kind of called. I think it was going to be a bit of a breakout season for him, and got his first PGA Tour win in the fall, and then has looked the part to start the year. Maverick McNeely at 80-1, I think should get some attention this week. I got to double check. I think he's a morning guy as well.
He's a morning guy.
I think he's a morning guy.
Yep.
And again, other than just his real first bad performance of the year was at the Arnold Palmer. Had an okay round 1. I think he shot 80 in his second round, and he somehow lost 6.5 strokes around the green in round 2 alone. I mean, that's like borderline impossible. I didn't see any highlights. He must have like chipped it into the water like 2 or 3 times. But in his last 2 events, even at the Genesis where he took second, he lost around the green. And you go back his last 2 years, like the ball striking was okay, but the short game has been what has been the best part of this guy's game. So if you can match his historical short game prowess with the recent epiphany that he's had ball striking, he played really well here last year as well. I think Mav McNeely will win another event this year, and I think this is a good setup for him.
Yeah, that's great. The only reason I knew he was a morning tee time, he was going to be on my first round leader card. He is another guy too that always has one pop round. Like, he could be playing absolute crap, and then he has that one round of like 63, and you're like, well, there's Maverick McNeely this season in contention. So no objections from me. Maverick McNeely 80-1. This is funny. This is the year of guys who had trouble winning, finally winning again, right? Like, it's been happening all season.
And then can I give you my third outright? I'll make it really, really quick.
Yeah.
So I got him at 300-1. I know that's gotten bet down a little bit, but there's still some 200s out there. Depending on what access you have, you could probably find a 250 somewhere. Again, hand up, recency bias. But look, this is a tournament where it just throw the models out the window, and you just want to bet on really, really good golfers. Just plain and simple, bet on good golfers. I think this guy is a really, really, really good golfer, and it's just because you haven't seen enough of them, people haven't figured it out yet.
You got to give us a couple hints before you drop it. Give us a couple hints.
Yeah.
He is a PGA Tour rookie.
Okay.
He currently, I don't know where he's, I can't say where he's from because that probably would give it away. He's currently living in Jacksonville.
Oh,
Uh,
God.
Currently living in Jacksonville. He said he's played Sawgrass. He said he thinks 40 times since the summer. I
I
think he
saw
played
this interview and I can't remember who it was.
played 2 weeks ago. And he's won this year.
He's won this year. I mean,
My God. I don't know. I saw this
it's got to
interview.
be
Now,
Brian Campbell.
He won last week.
Mr. Phillips.
I am absolutely running this. I literally waited for Carl Phillips to get at it. Like once he won, I just sat there and just refreshed sportsbooks until they posted him. Because my thought was, look, I know he's a tour rookie. He just won. Probably had a few beers on Sunday, and I never ever bet the guy the week after they won. It's just that it truly never happens. I'm making the exception for him because I thought they were going to post them at like 120. I think that's probably a fair price here. And he opened at 300, and I clicked it as fast as humanly possible. We don't have the shots gained data from Puerto Rico, so you can't really build a profile here. But we have his numbers from the Cognizant. He lost off the tee. He gained 3.7 on approach, and then he was abysmal putting. Again, we don't have the data from Puerto Rico. I can tell you it with absolute certainty he gained off the tee. He was pummeling his driver. The dude is a bomber, and he was just peppering fairways the entire tournament. So the driver is there. Again, it's not a bomber-friendly course by any stretch, but the iron game was dialed in at the Cognizant. And for me, what I liked about him was the resilience he had on the back nine in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you guys were following this, but he made the turn going into the back nine with a 3-shot lead. He parred the 10th. He gets to number 11, which is a par 5. It's the easiest hole in the entire course. It's like a must birdie. He kind of messed up a chip, missed a short one. He parred it, and then he went to the 12th hole. He had a wedge into the green, like 115 out, and it was the worst shot he hit the entire tournament. Missed it left, made a bogey there. So he went from a 3-shot lead to a 1-shot deficit in real time, like 25 minutes. And then he followed that up with birdie, 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 and then just for style points, slammed the door with another birdie on 18. Like, this dude has legitimate big balls. And again, it's a tournament where I want to bet on really good golfers. And I don't think it's crazy to say that, like, dude, this dude is a really, really good golfer, and you're getting the price you are just because of, the unknown factor. And clearly Tiger has an eye for talent. I mean, he's the first brand ambassador for Sunday Red. I mean, that's got to tell you something if Tiger said, hey, let's go get this kid. So would I be stunned if he went back to back and came out and won the Players? I absolutely would. But it would not surprise me one bit to see him at least in the mix going into the weekend. And at 300 to 1, like, you look at the other collection of guys that are sort of in that price range. I mean, I think he is light years better than the rest of that range of markets. So Nick Taylor, Mav McNeely, Carl Phillips.
Nice. I love it.
I don't need to get into it too much, but I would be remiss if I didn't say it because it's a high number. It's a proven winner. Finished second here last year, and you can still get him at 110 to 1. I'm going to have a little sprinkle in Brian Harman. I don't need to get into it. That's just what I'll say.
Hey, I love it. Listen, I'm still a Brian Harman fan after winning the Open and cashing me there. So let's talk about some props. I feel like the cat's out of the bag with a lot of the props that we've taken because we love our guys, right? And there's 2 guys. I'm going to just double team mine. I'm taking Step Straka top 30. A guy who, what has he done? Nothing but finish inside the top 30 since December, right? He missed the cut at Genesis. That's fine. They're playing Torrey. You understand how that goes. But outside that, he's finished inside the top 30 every single event. T9 at Hero, T15 at Kapalua, T30 at Wailea. Won the Amex. Like, the list just goes on. Even when he played poorly, in quotations, he finished T5 at API. You talked about it already, Chris. I like Straka. And then I like Michael Kim. And you know what's funny about this? Top 40 for Michael Kim. We don't discuss. We just post our plays to our producer and tell him what we're going to be on. And we're on very similar plays this week. So hopefully it's going to be a really good podcast week.
Yeah, I'll second that. So I went Michael Kim. You know me, I like the juice. I like to go for a little bit more aggressive. And I have Michael Kim. He's plus 300 for a top 20. And you heard me rip off his last 5 events. Nothing worse than T13. He's coming in with good form. I don't know if he'll win this week. I don't know if he'll win a big field or like this with all the stars. I do think Michael Kim wins this year. Maybe it's going to be at one of those smaller events when the stars don't show up. But for a top 20 at plus 300, given his form, I think that's a really nice bet this week.
So I don't dabble in the finishing positions too much, but for the purpose of this show, I did scour the market a little bit. Not to beat a dead horse, but Michael Kim top 20, including ties at 250. Like, yeah, that will be getting clicked. I'm sitting here scouring on FanDuel. They have these round specials, and it's like, both of these guys to do XYZ. Like, they just added this market, I think, like as we were live on the show, so I haven't had time to go through these, but they have it split with waves. So I'm looking at the morning wave Thursday round 1 specials, and I think there's a couple in here that are pretty fun. I typically don't love the bogey free markets, especially on a course with this much variance. But I also think, like, if you avoid water, like, you can par your way around Sawgrass. Like, there's a couple of, like, I know a few of the par 3s are long. I know 18's a bit of a bear, but like, there's not a lot of like auto bogey holes, and like Ludwig or Hideki or JT to be bogey free. Like, you get 3 chances at one of those guys to go bogey free in the morning in the soft conditions. That's 3 to 1. Like, I might just click that. And again, those are pretty fun to sweat out. But take a look at some of the round 1 scoring specials for the AM wave on FanDuel. Again, I wish I was able to have one of these ready, but they just added these. But for the morning guys, I think we've already said the conditions are going to be mint. I know the course just got a lot of rain last night. I don't know if there's any more rain in the forecast between now and Thursday, but if those greens are soft, man, like, I think guys can go out there and tear this up on Thursday. I really do.
Yeah.
I think the morning's going to be really nice. This course trains super well. So I imagine, like, this is the first round leader, just like last week where you had the massive PM advantage. I think we can walk in with another massive advantage. Like, I was telling Chris offline, like, there's like 500 guys who I like to be first round leader this week, and pretty much all of them are in the the AM. So I kind of like need to make some decisions. But speaking of first round leader, I'm gonna go ahead and read off the first round leader favorites as we always do. Let me just pull that up real quick. First round leader, and we haven't had a favorite win in quite some time. Which, let's just keep that going, because
What's our record in the last 5? Are we 4 for 5 on first round leaders?
No, I think
That's
we're
insane.
I think we're
That
yeah,
is
we're 4 for 5.
absolutely.
Yeah, so
Take a bow. That's
that
nuts.
going. And by the way, I still hate this market, right? Like,
It's so hard. There's so many golfers this week.
It's so hard.
Can
but
I ask you guys one question?
Yeah.
Because we talked about live betting earlier. Like, again, I don't do a ton of live betting. If I'm ever going to bet round leader, unless it's a tournament like this where we think there's a clear wave advantage and you want to just grab somebody going off at the right time, do you guys ever try to snipe a round leader live? Like, you look at sort of how the course is playing, if the back nine's playing way harder than the front, and you see somebody go off on the back and they shoot 3 under on the back, will you go to maybe look to grab them in the round leader market, knowing they've got the easier 9 coming up, or do you just sort of click these pre-tournament and then let them go?
I don't bet first round leader every tournament. And pre-flop, right? Like, I want to have some advantage, or I need to be able to model it out. That's when I'll start looking for live, if there's anybody who starts like that, or you just see sometimes you can just see a guy has like that fire in his eyes. He's like I think we hit one of those. Oh no, we missed. It was Jake Knapp early in the season where I almost hit him live. Where he started 5 birdies through 6 holes and was a nice AM guy and was still 30 or 40 to 1. It was an insane price. Like, that's when I'll do it. If the price is insane and a guy starts off just insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a sicko. I don't think anybody does golf like I do. I'm literally watching every shot from almost every player. I got 4 screens open.
Yep.
So if a guy's making a birdie, I know about it. I know where he hit it. I know where he's putting from, and I'm basically ready to click. So it really depends, as you said, on the person. There's certain guys that I will not touch. I don't care if they're 3 under through 3. I just know they're going to cack. There's always guys that do that. I'm never going to waste balance on them.
Can I give you one really, really quick, amazing story from last weekend?
Absolutely.
So Puerto Rico, again, there's no shot link data, and the TV coverage didn't start, I think, until 2:30. So you were kind of at the mercy of, like, if you really wanted to track this live, you had to just stare at the odds on FanDuel, and just like if there was odds movement, you knew something happened.
Yeah.
But again, because there's no shot link, like even the books were slow to update based on what was actually happening on the course. I got a guy in my Discord that lives in Puerto Rico, and he was at this event Saturday and Sunday. So he is in our live chat giving us live updates like instantaneously.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think on the 8th hole, Phillips chipped in for eagle, and he put it out there. He sent us a video, guys. Holy shit, this just happened. So Phillips chips in for eagle. He was the favorite at the time. I think he was plus 150, and his odds didn't move. I'm like, oh my god, they don't know this happened, dude.
Yeah.
I dropped 2,500 on him at plus 150 literally immediately. And then I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes later, the books realized he eagled it. He dropped the minus 250. I cashed that out right there for a free $1,000. I'm like, all right, now I'm free rolling the rest. So again, it was less exciting when the TV coverage came on because it was a little more fun getting the live updates.
And you know what? That is how, and you don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce, but I mean, that's how you win big odds on golf. It's catching odds, right? Like you have to be careful because again, if any books are listening, I never do this, so don't ban me anymore. But no, if you have a guy who stripes it down the fairway 360 and you know he's got a little wedge into like a front left hole location, you know there's a good chance he's making a birdie there, right? So if he's going to make a birdie, his odds are going to cut after he makes that birdie. It's up to you whether or not you want to gamble on it, but if he's going to make a birdie, get the odds before they drop. And that's, again, a big reason how we crush this. But all right, I'll give out one first round. It's a guy who I wouldn't take him if he was playing in the afternoon, but he traditionally loves to go low in the morning. He's one of those guys where if it wasn't this field and it was a smaller field, he'd be one of the favorites like he always is. Steven Yeager at 100-1, first round leader.
Mr. Steven. I love Steven. God, he gives me a headache sometimes, but definitely love his game. I'm going with my first one, going Sepp Straka. Already a guy that loves going out first, loves going out early. I think he has an 8 a.m. tee time, 60-1 to be first round leader. A tremendous ball striker. Has 2 top 15 finishes at this tournament already. He can definitely pop. I'll give my second, and this one, listen, I had to find a way to get involved with Tommy Fleetwood. He's popped first or third in every model that I've made. I've made a ball striker model. So if this is going to be just dominated by ball strikers, I've made this by an overpowering model with accuracy. It's Mr. Fleetwood. I made this in a wind model. Mr. Fleetwood is in the top 3 in all of these. And I'm just like, I can't bet him at 28-1 to win a tournament. But a guy who can play in the wind, who can give me something at a good course, a good ball striker, first round leader, 45-1.
Yeah.
If you want to get completely out of your mind insane and understand that this is $5 that you are not getting back, you are better off taking it out, letting it on fire, and doing what else with it. But again, a guy that is in no universe going to win this tournament, but 99% of the golf year, he is arguably one of the worst golfers on tour. But he finds a way twice a year to pop off, maybe get a win, and just continue to get his tour card this way. And over the last, I think it's he's gained on approach now 3 straight tournaments. And I went and looked back, even when he was playing better golf years ago, he has never done that in the history of his career. So you can say that this guy's hitting it better than he ever has, on a bit of a heater right now, going off early in the morning, and has the ability to go super low and then follow that up with an 85 just as easily. How about Davis Riley, 120?
Oh my God, Davis wasn't he playing well in Puerto Rico? How did he end up finishing there?
He was.
Yeah, he was stuck in the mud on Sunday. Didn't even play that bad. Again, gave himself a lot of birdie looks, just couldn't make them. And it was just a tournament like you had to shoot 5 under every single day, and he just didn't have it on Sunday.
That's awesome.
He's a guy, he does start fast. You're 100% right. He's that guy that can shoot 80 or he could shoot 62.
Like if you're going to get a good round out of him, it's gonna come Thursday, and then it's like, okay, can he hang on the rest of the way? So if you want an absolute nuke bomb, Davis Riley.
Yeah. So if you want to fade Brad this week, it's Sepp Straka missed the cut because you have him everywhere.
Everywhere. I have Sepp Straka first round leader, placement market, and to win.
Yeah, it's a lot of Sepp Straka.
Do you guys do you bet 3 balls ever?
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, we don't give them out. We don't give them out here. There's just too much. We do it in our Discords and our communities.
Yeah. Is there a 3 ball you like?
One, I don't typically do, if I'm gonna bet them, I usually wait till Friday because I like to see how they hit it on Thursday. Unless there's a spot where I'm like, I have to hit this. Bobby Mack plus 150 to beat Sung Jae and Max Homa. Like, I think Bobby Mack should be minus 400 against these two dudes right now.
Going
I
against
mean,
two
it's
guys
it's
who
one v
exceedingly
one,
roster.
right?
It's 1v1 essentially.
Like Homa's going to be +7.
Like,
So
Yeah.
that's
this is like when it's one of those weird tournaments. It's like when you look at three balls in the Open Championship, and like there are a couple of groups where there's a guy at like plus 1,000 because there's no universe that he's going to win that three ball.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's Max Homa right now. Like, I hope he finds it. It's more fun when he's in the mix. He seems like a really great guy, but he's objectively the worst golfer on the PGA Tour right now, and there are very few ways to fade him. They don't offer tournament matchups for him anymore. So doing it in a three ball is the only way you can do it.
And
last pick for me, because I don't want it to go unmissed.
okay.
We were just talking about 5 years ago and the NBA shutting down, but do you remember what happened here 5 years ago when they played first round?
Yes. He was the first round leader.
He was the first round
four
leader,
players
went
who
out,
didn't
shot
finish
-7,
round,
I believe. He looked unstoppable. And that's
Yep.
Hideki Matsuyama. And you can get him to win the tournament, he's plus 3,000. But these are one of those things that you and I talk about on the show quite often, is that his first round odds are higher than his actual win odds. So there's a little bit of value there, which I like. And you can get Matsuyama at plus 4,500 first round, morning wave.
Morning wave.
And I think he wants to get some redemption. And he doesn't have the best form necessarily, but he's one of those guys that he can just a ball strikers guy. And if he gets that putter going, I mean, he could absolutely go out in the morning and just post a big number.
He's the best short game player that I think I've ever seen. Like, what he can do around the greens is simply magical. And I know this because he's cost me a lot of money. We bet a lot of bogey props on live holes. Like, what we'll do is we'll have the live hole data up, and if it's like,
oh my god,
if the wind is ripping, we're like, yo, hole 3 is a bogey fest right now, and we'll round robin 4 or 5 guys. And there's been 2 different instances this year where I think I've gone 4 for 5, and the losing leg was Hideki, who was in jail both instances, and then just literally magically gets up and down. I mean, there's nobody that can do it like him around the greens.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on Hideki first round leader too, but I want to add this. Hideki's the type of guy, when he's in a group with a bunch of shot makers and ballers, that's when he plays really well. Like, it feels like he has like mentality like, oh yeah, you could stick it. Watch this. I'm going to stick it, and walks away all smug, like he's with Luvic and JT in this first round. And
somebody asked me this. Do you guys, do you put some stock in that? Like, it's not the end all be all for me, but like, if there's say you've got a group of players that you like for a tournament, and 2 of them are in the same group with like a third killer. Like, I do think like good golf elevates good golf.
Yep.
Whereas, and I think on the flip side of this, maybe even more drastically so, like if you got a guy that you like, but he's playing with just 2 complete shitters, and they're gonna just be smacking it around, probably making them wait a little longer. Like, I do hesitate a little bit to play guys in bad groups.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I played competitive golf, and one of my buddies played for rival school across town, and he was like my regular golf partner, way better golfer than me. Like, dude, was insane, right? And when we played them, or we were in tournaments together, if we got paired together, I'm going low because I'm in this group with this stud who I know, so I have that comfortability, and I just want to back up good shots that he's on as well too. So it makes a ton of sense. Now, I like guys who are familiar with each other too, like buddies that play together, because they kind of feed off each other. But the bad group, it terrifies me. Or if like the pressure group, someone playing with Tiger Woods or Scotty on an opening round, like that also scares me too.
Dude, this 3-way playoff between Ludwig, Nick Taylor, and Sepp Straka is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Before we wrap here, I love to ask this question. It's my favorite question. And dude, there's no right or wrong answer. All right. So you're gonna build the perfect fast food meal. You can stop anywhere for your drink, your fries, your sandwich, your dessert. Go ahead and build me the fast food perfect meal.
I only need to go to one place. It's very simple. I'm going to one place. Believe it or not, I had this meal 90 minutes ago, so it's still fresh. I'm going to Taco Bell. I am getting a chicken quesadilla with extra jalapeno sauce. Then, most importantly, I'm getting an extra side cup of the creamy jalapeno sauce for dipping purposes. I'm getting a cheesy gordita crunch with no lettuce, and I am getting a large Baja Blast.
Bang.
The Taco Bell love that has been on the show is insane. I didn't realize that many people love Taco Bell. That's like my drunk guilty pleasure is Taco Bell.
Oh, that is my sober Tuesday afternoon
You want to
standard
hear
lunch.
something crazy?
Yeah.
I've never had Taco Bell.
Oh,
What?
oh my God, dude.
Yeah, and everybody that comes on here keeps just raving about it, and it's their favorite thing. So I don't know. I might just need to break that streak.
Dude, insane. I love Taco Bell. You need to try it. They now have their Cantina menu, which is solid as well. Can't go wrong with Taco Bell. But anyways, let's wrap this up. This has been a great show. A lot of overlap, but a lot of really good dialogue. Kenny, thanks for joining us. Let everyone know where they can find you at.
Yeah, man, and just want to say thank you guys for having me. And Brad, I know we've gone back and forth on Twitter for a while now. You're truly one of my favorite people in this space. I think you're excellent at what you do. And even outside of the gambling stuff, to see all the work you do for Golf Channel and everything, man, it's been a pleasure to sort of kind of follow your path over the last couple of years. So congrats on all the success that you've had. Again, and I'll have me back on anytime.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to be up here. On Twitter, I'm at Kilkenny, Kiil Kenny. If you want to join my Discord, you can. I don't really care. My link's in my bio, but I post a lot of stuff on Twitter too, and I have a free Twitch stream that I do on Twitch as often as I feasibly can. It's a little less often now. I got a 3-week-old crying in the back right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But yeah, at Kilkenny on Twitter, and again, good luck on all your action this week.
Absolutely. And everyone watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. Comment who you think is going to win this tournament. If you're listening in podcast form, make sure you download and rate us. I'm Brad Thomas for Chris Mills and Kenny. Thanks for checking out the No BS Golf Show.